Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I'm excited to have with me Jeneffer Joe, and let me tell you a little bit about Jen. Jen Joe is a business mentor for introverted coaches who would rather be off living their life than spending hours on social media and DMing strangers. Jen teaches them to lean into what's natural for them and uses her proven impact method to help even the most introverted person gain the skill and confidence to fill their calendar with paying clients. She takes her years of experience as a curriculum writer and teacher trainer to develop top-notch programs that deliver results to 100% of clients who complete them. And when she's not transforming the lives of her clients, you can find her enjoying the expat life in Mexico or lighting up the dance floor with her amateur salsa moves. Ooh. Today, I thought we would just focus on that, how to market your business as an introvert. So all you introverts, go grab your pens and paper and get ready for this. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Jen Joe. Hi, Jen. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. That was awesome.
You are very welcome. Yes, we could just do a whole thing about introverts and salsa. All right. So we have a wonderful topic here, but before we get into the meat of that topic, I'd like to ask you to share with the audience, where do you live? I said Mexico, but
Yes.
how long have you been an expat?
A year and a half now, I've been living here in Mérida, Mexico. It's way down in the Yucatan, extremely hot, but it is very safe and very sweet and charming. It's been perfect. It's been really awesome. Yeah.
So I guess you speak Mexican or Spanish very well.
I am fluent in Spanish. Yes, I'm a native Spanish speaker.
There you go. So you can immerse yourself entirely in that. And the wonderful world that we live in has borderless, that you can have clients all over the world, no matter where you are.
And I do, and I still do. And I've even attracted clients here through the expat community that lives here. So that's been fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we talked about, the accolades and things that you've accomplished, but I always like you to share a little bit about your journey of what took you to where you are today, because we all didn't just, leave high school and become where we are today. So go ahead and briefly share your journey.
Yeah, so I was on a very traditional path. I mean, I finished school, went into teaching, moved up the ranks, became an administrator, then began consulting. I did all the things. I bought the house, I had the dog, I was waiting for the husband. My life looked very different than what it looks like today. And it all began like back in 2016, where I was still a school administrator. I was working a lot of hours. I had a long commute. I was very stressed out. And I just knew I was pretty young to be in that position. I was in there. I was like 27 when I first got in. So at this point, I must have been about 30. And I was like, okay, I don't have another 30 years in me of doing this before I retire. And the only next level was becoming a principal. That's the next natural progression. And the more people looked at me and they were like, we're waiting for you to get your own school to become a principal, the more I had this visceral reaction of, I don't want that. That is
Yeah.
not the path for me. That is not the next step. That's not the vision. And it was really hard because when you're in the field of education or nursing, in certain professions, you feel like, well, this is the thing that I studied and this is the thing I'm supposed to do. It's not very easy to pivot, right? So I hired my first coach because I was so into personal development. And the more that I got into it, the more every book, every video, everything that I was seeing, it was like, hire a coach, hire a coach. I was like, okay, I guess that's the next logical step. I hire a coach. And I told her this vision that I had of helping people achieve their goals and talking about it in a group setting. And it's a vision that I had had like at least a year prior. And it was the first time I told anybody about it. And immediately she said, Jen, that's coaching. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think it looks like what we're doing here. You're listening to my problems. That's not really the thing. So I dismissed it for a while until I finally came around to, yeah, she's right. I want to be a coach. That is the thing. I just didn't know that that was what it looked like, that it could look like a different model than what it was with her. So it took me a while to come around to it, but when I did, and I was like steadily trying to get out there and tell people, and this was like what, 2017 at this point, I struggled so much and I didn't know why. I couldn't understand what it was that was holding me back. And then I told myself, well, it must be because I'm just not certified yet. So I don't feel credible. I don't have that level of skill to be able to help people yet. Okay. So I went and got certified. I was like, okay, got certified. Let's go do this. And I still couldn't figure out how to build a business around it. And I still didn't feel super confident. And I realized like the more learning that I did, the more immersion and watching other people and following these gurus, the less successful I felt because I was like looking at what they were telling me to do. I was attempting it and I was struggling and failing hard. And then I realized like, oh, this requires me to be different than how I am naturally. This is requiring me to do things that make me feel extremely uncomfortable and don't put me in the best light necessarily, you know, because they're asking me to do things for skills that maybe I don't feel really strong in. It's not sustainable, right? Like I can do it for a while, but when you're telling me to post and show up every single day, multiple times a day, I'm like, nah, I can't. And plus I just didn't have the time. I was still working full time and I still had the long commute. So building this business was looking extremely hard until my brother asked me one question. He said, how did you find your coach? And I was like, I went online and I typed in coaches and it sent me to this website. And there was coaches. And then I, put in a request and I was matched with someone. Oh, he was like, yeah, why don't you do that? Why don't you just go to that site and be one of the coaches there? And I was like, genius idea. I will do that. Thank you. Thank you. Right. It just made so much sense. And then once I went there and I signed up and I learned how to use the platform, thousands of coaches, I still managed to become a top rated coach on that site amongst the thousands of coaches. And so obviously I was doing something right. And that process was so easy for me to do, right? And I was like approaching it like I would a coach, like a natural person, the way I would coach a client, right? The way that I would help them. And all of a sudden I went from making just my first dollars to making full-time income within a year, being able to quit my job and living this lifestyle now, right? Just because I found a strategy that worked for me. And that is one strategy that I use. And I always encourage my clients to find the strategy that works for them. Stop trying to do the thing that you see this person doing that's been doing it for 10 years, that has a wide, huge audience, has a team, has funds. You don't have all that. And you don't need it, right? Once I stopped feeling like comparing myself and trying to build the look of a big business and just worked on where I was and using the skills that I had, all of a sudden things started working for me.
So good.
Yeah.
So you're now a coach, and I still think, even though you started getting clients, isn't there still some of that imposter syndrome, like, oh, wait, maybe somebody's going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing.
The best way that I worked through that was working with clients, right? And I think this is where a
Really?
lot of training schools really fail people, because they have you working with your peers instead of working with actual people, where you get to just be in coach mode and that person is your client, right?
Yeah, and
Because
you
when
see the
you're doing it
results.
exactly, right? Not just one-off sessions, like you do it for a few sessions so you can see, oh my gosh, I got Jane results, I got Mark results. And then all you're doing when you're sharing is saying, hey, I helped this person achieve this thing. If you have that problem, I can help you. And it's authentic. It feels real, and you honestly feel you can get people results because you actually have. That was the biggest change,
Yeah,
right? And
I
not to say
know.
that, go ahead. I'm
No, oh,
sorry.
no, go ahead. Finish your thought.
It's not to say that imposter syndrome doesn't come up, but it's like in a different
Yeah.
arena now. Like now it's like, oh my gosh, who am I to start a YouTube channel? Right? Like
Yeah.
it's that.
And I know one of the folks that I was coaching, it was like I wasn't reaching them. And, I think it made me better because I thought, okay, I cannot fail at this. I have to know what to do and I have to help this person. And so then the creative juices came in, and all of a sudden we made this breakthrough, and you felt so good when you had that breakthrough, even though it was their breakthrough, but it was like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
And now you have another tool in your toolbox that you might not have ever thought to use.
Yes. I love that, because that also highlights one thing that I tell my clients is that sometimes they just want to amass a bunch of tools versus using what they have and then filling in the gaps, right?
Yeah,
Like you actually have to go out there and use it, because if you're just like consuming content and not actually implementing it with someone, you don't know what works. You don't know what feels natural to you. You don't know when to use what, right? So like go out there and get the practice and get the reps in any way you can.
right, for sure. So this change in your life from teach, and I'm married to a retired teacher. I have a daughter that's a teacher, and I work in schools as a coach for kids to learn public speaking. So I know teachers, and I felt what you were talking about, and your description of your life, and that thought of, oh my gosh, not for 30 more years. I just understood that. So what effect did coaching have on you?
It's changed so much of my life. Like, and especially because of that background in education, I did feel fulfilled when I was actually teaching. Moving up in administration, you feel a little bit further removed from that day to day with the students and that love that you get. But I did love coaching teachers and developing them and watching their growth. So that was fun. And I worried that I wouldn't get that same feeling with something else. So that was one thing. But coaching does fulfill me in that way. And it's changed every aspect of my life. I no longer have to put on that mask of like being a certain way in front of people. You know, we all do that at some level. When you have a job, it's like I get to only show this side of me at work, and then I get to show this side at home. I get to be me all the time. I get to be me in the way that I speak, in the way that I dress, in the way that I show up. Like there's no one that I'm afraid of like repercussions from if I don't do or act in a certain way.
Yeah,
So I get to just be 100% more authentic, right?
and that's
Um,
awesome.
and that's been big. My outlook on when people are having a hard time, instead of taking it personally, right? Developing those coaching skills, I use them when I'm looking at other people. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not about me. You know what I mean? So it's using it to coach myself when things are difficult, right?
Yeah.
And this lifestyle that I live, like I now get to work only 4 days a week, right? Like I take Fridays off. I'm like, I don't take Fridays off Fridays. I get to live abroad. I'm not tethered to a certain
Yeah.
location. Like I can live wherever I want. My business comes with me. And that's been super freeing. And I don't have to work as hard. Like I remember putting in so many hours and just feeling like, oh my gosh, there's still so much more, right? Now I get to say when it's enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is a question that often comes up. And I know, coming from a corporate background, whenever I first started doing this, and I've only been doing it for 3 years, so just a few years, but I thought, oh, why should you invest in a coach, Vicki? You've got all this background, all this training, all this. And it didn't take me but a couple months to say, oh, no, I need to be able to pick somebody else's brain, to be in a community where people are doing what I'm doing, because it's different. Corporate is different than this clients that we have. So in your opinion, whenever you're talking to people and they're saying, I don't know if I should spend the money and invest in you, what answers do you have for them?
So it depends if it's about money, we have to help them really contextualize what are they comparing it to, right? A lot of times what they'll try to do is break down the cost of your package into an hourly rate.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, what? Your results aren't hourly. I don't understand. Like, what are you comparing it to, right? Because what we're giving them is transformation, not just this one thing, but that transformation goes on with them.
Yeah.
When I help a career coach, like before I helped coaches, I helped career clients, right? Like they were looking for jobs. You don't get that salary just that year that I helped you land that job and negotiate it. You get that salary for every year you stay there. And now that is your baseline. And everywhere you go, it's going to be higher, right? For coaches that are coming to me, you don't just get the knowledge right now that I'm sharing with you for that 6-month period that we're working together. You get to build a foundation for a business that you can grow to full-time income, to live the lifestyle that you want, that you get to go impact other people. Right? Like that's what you're buying. It's not an hour of my time.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And people do that all the time.
Yeah, they will.
Oh.
And so it's our job to help them really understand the value of what this will do for them.
Right.
Not just the time that they show up, but like truly how it's going to transform them.
So, but let's take it from that other side. What would your life be like as an entrepreneur without a coach?
Rough. It's a lot, like even with a coach, this is entrepreneurship. There's a lot of risk and failure and learning, but I am shortcutting that by so much by having someone who's gone before me to teach me what they know.
Yeah, right.
And I've invested a whole lot in coaching, a whole lot more than I ever would have thought that I would have invested, but it's the shortcut to success.
And finding the right coach, there's a lot of us out there.
Yes.
Finding the right coach, just maybe not the first stop you make, but if there's that connection, because it is the community, and you will have times where you have to be vulnerable and authentic, and that connection with your coach, I think, is so important.
That's super important. You want to find someone that you relate to. You want to find someone who has a process that feels doable to you. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong when they're hiring coaches in the beginning, because they're looking at this really big aspirational thing that they want, and they're like, that person has it, I want to, do that. But is it in the format that is, beneficial for you? Right. A lot of times they're like, they go into a program that they have, and it's like, well, maybe that's not the best learning style for you. Maybe you need someone that you can meet with every single week, right? Like you need more accountability. So just knowing that about yourself, where you are and what you need, and being able to interview and look up multiple coaches, like feel free to do that. I'm on directories, right? Like that's one of my strategies. So they have access to thousands of coaches. I am not the one person. And if I'm the first coach that they talk to, they will tell me. And they want to go interview a few more. I'm like, okay, how many? How many is going to be good? Okay, that's too many. Let's lower the number. Right?
Because then it's like going into IKEA,
Yes, it's like too many.
I don't know what I need.
Yeah, you don't make any. I said, go talk to 2 more, total of 3. Let's talk about what matters to you. And I will guide them. I'm not worried, because I know my worth. I know my value. I know how good the call is going to be with me. So I'm like, okay, what do you need to make sure you ask them? All right. And what are you going to do? Okay, what's the process going to be like when you think about it? All right, go ahead. This is our time to talk and check in, and we'll make a decision of which one of the 3 was right for you. Totally unbiased. Like, let's think about it. What's going to serve you best? What kind of format did they offer? Like, is it pricing that you're looking for, right? Like, let's make it so it's safe to be completely honest on that
Mhm.
call and really support them in that decision, even if it's not with you.
Yeah. So time's flying by as I knew it would. So for the introverts, for any entrepreneur, but let's just stay with the introverts. What are the pros and cons that you would share with them about being an entrepreneur? I know that they probably have in their mind some, and it could be, if they're brand new, they could be just like the rosy side of the street and everything is wonderful and they don't know things that they may have come up against them. So what are some of
Yeah.
the pros and cons?
Big pro is the way that you design your offer, your program, and who you help, right? You get to be way more selective in the people that you bring into your programs. As an educator and teacher trainer, I was assigned teachers to work with and to appraise. Not everybody wanted my help, right? It's very
Yeah.
different when now I get to say, this is I love my introverts. I love service-based leaders. I love helping teachers, transition into this. I like working with my social workers and my nurses and my healthcare professionals who want to go into coaching, like, yes, 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 come, right? And they're
Yeah.
excited to work with me. So that's beautiful. Con is you are responsible for everything.
Yeah.
You're responsible for going out there and bringing in the clients. And it's not about, oh, well, I put in 40 hours of work this week. That doesn't guarantee a paycheck, right?
Mhm.
Like, you got to work on the right kind of task. And sometimes that causes some discomfort. It requires you to be out there and talk to people, right?
And
But
here,
this is
no.
and this is why I say, like, we have to find marketing ways to market that make sense to you. It can't just be what you see other people doing if that's not naturally what you're into or what your personality leans itself towards.
Very true. All right, so it's time now for us to move on to my slide that has your contact information. So those of you that are just listening, I told you to get your paper and pencil, but if you didn't, run now and go get it. And I will be sharing my slide. If you're listening, you can definitely take a screenshot of this, and all of those that are perhaps just listening at the gym or perhaps driving, you can get all this information on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. Please subscribe. As well as you can go to findyourleadershipconfidence.com. But for those of you that are able to, right now you can get this screenshot. The website for you, those that are listening, is www.jenjoe.com. That's JENJOE.com. Jenjoe.com. For Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. She is the most wonderful person in the world because she has the same thing for all three, and that is Jen Joe Coaching. Jen Joe Coaching. So you can find her there on those three platforms. I'm going to turn it over to Jen to talk to you about what you'll find when you go to her website, and also to maybe direct you to her favorite social media site so you can get the most out of your visit.
Yeah, so I'm excited because I am starting a YouTube channel. So
Yay!
yes, and I'm Genjo coaching on there as well,
Of
keeping it consistent. So want to just give more value, make sure that I'm explaining exactly what this process has been like and how someone else can go from where they are to transitioning into coaching. You don't have to go ahead and do this full time. It was a perfect opportunity for me to start part time and grow my business. And now I get to help other people do the same thing. And if you are an introvert, I want to encourage you that there are ways for you to market and be successful without the added stress of feeling like you have to do things that you are not into. I actually created a resource for all of you, and you can grab that at gento.com/marketing, where I give you 5 different ways to market that don't involve social media, with links and resources to make it super easy for you to go over there, sign up, and start implementing these things so that you can get your business out there. You have an amazing message, amazing value to offer. Like, the marketing side should not be the thing that holds you back.
awesome. So again, that is Genjo/marketing to grab that tool that she's giving to you. Well, Jen, It's been just great talking with you. You gave such wonderful information, and I'm sure that the audience has benefited from your story. And maybe some of them has like, oh God, yes, I've been there, done that, have the t-shirt. But hopefully others will take the time to go visit your website, take advantage of those tools. And again, thanks so much for being a great guest.
Thank you so much for having me, Vicki.
You're very welcome. And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.